Good morning. It's Stacie Zuercher with Northwest Senior and Disability Services. And good morning, Tillamook. I'm so excited to be here this morning with Shera Barthelson, who is an RN who works in oncology at Adventist Health, and one of the newest Tillamookians, Jessica Linnell, who's the Oregon State Extension Office Assistant Professor. Welcome, ladies. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
So this month's Year of Health and Wellness topic is a little bit important. It's very important. And what it is about is cancer awareness and prevention. And, you know, I think there's no one that hasn't been touched by cancer in their life at this point. And sometimes when you say it, the big C, you hear I feel this collective, oh, we're going to talk about that today. It's kind of a little bit of a heavy topic, isn't it? Yeah. But I think it's also important for education and things like that. So we'll start with Shera, who is, like I said, the nurse and at the oh my goodness, blah. See, I told you it takes me all of 3 minutes and I start stumbling through my words. But tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, I've had the opportunity to work at the hospital with Dr. Gerald Gibbs for about 7 years now. He's an oncologist who shares his time between his office in Hillsborough and the office here in Tillamook. Mm-hmm. And we see a lot of different cancer patients and hematology patients for things like anemia. Mm-hmm. And it's just really interesting to be able to be part of that world. It can be really heartbreaking as well.
Sure.
I think it's really great that we have the opportunity for people to get cancer treatments here in Tillamook without having to drive over to the city.
Absolutely. And I think we talked about that a little bit yesterday when we were chatting, getting ready for today's interview, is that people have that impression that Tillamook doesn't have services and resources here to serve people that are fighting cancer or recuperating from treatments. And that's not the case.
Right. Yes. We have a very good oncologist here, and it's really great for people to not have to make that drive.
Yeah.
Basically, the only things that we can't do for cancer care here is radiation. Mm-hmm. That has to be done in the city still. But Dr. Gibbs is affiliated with Tuwality Health System over in Hillsborough, mm-hmm. and they're able to do radiation there.
Oh,
and
that's neat.
Not as far of a drive as like having to go into OHSU or some of the other places that offer that.
Sure. And Jessica, you are new to the Oregon State Extension Office. I wore my beef shirt today. Did you notice that?
I did.
I'm representing a little bit. And tell us a little bit about what you do and what you're most excited about in your new position.
So my background is actually in nutrition, but I'm in family and community health with the Oregon State Extension Service, and my role is going to be to develop programs and resources for the community to be able to learn about all kinds of things, health mm-hmm. and wellness. I am most excited about joining right now as the Year of Wellness is really going strong. So,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting involved and helping support the programs that are going on and mm-hmm.
Getting involved. And I understand that you're going to be really a big part of the nutrition committee, which for those of you who have been following the Year of Health and Wellness, you might know or might not know that there's these breakout committees in regards to the overall health for the community and providing education opportunities. And one being there's physical fitness, there's smoking, there's messaging and marketing, which provides these education opportunities, and then nutrition, which will be in your wheelhouse.
That's right.
Very exciting. So, Shera, tell me a little bit. I know that there's a lot of things going on in regards to cancer research. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting was about the American Cancer Society changing their recommendations related to self-breast exams.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that when I read that earlier this year. They used to recommend that women do a self-breast exam monthly. Mm-hmm. And their recent thing that they came up with was that maybe that's not quite as important. And I facilitate a women's cancer support group here in town, and I would say at least 75% of the women in that group found their lump themselves by doing self-breast exams.
Okay.
And so we really all felt when we were talking in the group about it, like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, you kind of take really a gasp. Yeah.
And I think the bottom line most of all is whether you do an official self-breast exam on a certain day every month or not, just to be aware of your body. And that goes just in general, I think, across the board for all the different types of cancers, is if you just are really aware of your body and know what's normal for you, then you'll notice when something is out of the normal.
Sure. And we talked a little bit about maybe talked with your physician in those moments. If you feel it's always worth it to ask lots of questions and self-educate.
For sure.
But not on the internet, because you can make yourself crazy. I think,
Dr. Google does not have his MD license.
Dr. Google. I call my phone the answer box. What do I need to know today? And then, you can spend hours trying to figure it out.
Right.
So you see your physician, know your body, and tell us about the type. I know that there's types of treatments, and sometimes people get really focused on, okay, this is what I need to do, without really spending time educating themselves.
Right. So there's actually an acronym that we use to help us remember 7 common warning signs of cancer. And the acronym is the word CAUTION. And this stands for the things that you need to watch for. The first one is C, change in bowel or bladder habits. This can be a common sign of colorectal cancer if you have changes in that area. A would be a sore that does not heal in a normal amount of time. If it's located in the skin or the mouth, this could indicate skin cancer or oral cancer. U would stand for unusual bleeding or discharge. Any bleeding from the bladder, vagina, or rectum could mean prostate, cervical, or colorectal cancer. T would be thickening of tissue or a lump. I would be indigestion and or difficulty swallowing, which can be a symptom of stomach, throat, esophagus, or mouth cancer. O would be obvious changes to moles or warts. This is the most common sign of skin cancer. And then N would be nagging cough. A cough that lasts for 4 weeks or longer can be a symptom of lung and or throat cancer. So those are just some really simple things that if people can kind of remember, it can be really
and
helpful.
I think what we'll do, maybe we can get that list and put it on the Year of Health and Wellness website so that people have a resource, because I think that's really important. But it does go back to what you were saying with knowing your body and not being afraid to talk with your doctor about these things and not put it off.
Right.
What are some other things that you can think of as far as, research and what's a chronic condition out there and some of the treatments that are happening?
Well, as far as cancer treatments, things have really come a long way. I think people in general still have the idea that if you're going through cancer treatment, you're just going to be horribly sick all the time and lose your hair and, all these things that nobody wants to have happen.
Sure.
And there are still a lot of types of cancer that we use traditional chemotherapy for. But more and more, there's getting to be what we call targeted therapies. And those are really exciting because they can actually target the problem cells instead of like traditional old chemotherapies pretty much just knock out any fast-growing cells in your body. And that's why there are the horrible side effects, because it's not just targeting the cancer cells, it's across the board wiping out any fast-growing cells.
Okay.
And the targeted therapies can actually just target the cancer cells without wiping out your good cells. And so there's far fewer side effects. At the same time, they are far more expensive.
Sure.
And sometimes, there's problems with insurance companies not wanting to pay until we've tried other things. But I think more and more there will be the targeted therapies so that people will have to go through the hardcore chemotherapies less and less.
Good. And I think it's also, what are your thoughts in regards to genetics? Because I think sometimes people think if this hasn't happened in my family, it's not, I'm not at risk.
Right. And I think that, well, according to the American Cancer Society, only about 10% of cancers are linked genetically. But several of the people in my cancer support group have said, well, nobody in my family ever had cancer before. So you never know when you might be the first one.
Right. And it's scary. I think that people, it's really easy to kind of put off going to the doctor and asking questions, or, if something starts really slow, maybe you don't even realize it until, I need to be paying attention. And early detection is super important.
Yes, it is. And that's why, I think it's really important to look into what screenings you should be getting and get them.
Yeah. So we're going to take just a little bit of a break real quick. Now's the time to buy your next vehicle. It's the Tillamook Ford Freedom Sale event. You could qualify for 0% financing for 60 months. How about $1,000 smart bonus cash back? Go to compareford.com for more info, or just stop by the friendly corner of 5th and Main in downtown Tillamook. You need to take delivery by August 1st. You need to visit Tillamook Ford today. And Tillamook Motor Company, a better place to do business. So I have a little Ford C-Max, and I've got to say, I drove over to Bend and back this weekend. I put 550 miles on the car, 3/4 of a tank of gas total.
Oh my goodness,
it blew my
awesome.
mind. I wanted to keep driving. So go to Ford Motor Credit or Ford Motor. So, okay. Now, again, this is Stacie with Northwest Senior and Disability Services here with Shera from Adventist Health and Jessica from the Oregon State Extension Office. And we're talking today about cancer awareness and prevention, which is the Year of Health and Wellness topic for July. So Jessica, you've talked about your role. Tell us, we're talking about, cancer and treatments and statistics and research and all these different things, but I'd love to hear a little bit about the prevention side of it, which is, a healthy diet and some things like that in regards to your wheelhouse.
There's been lots of research done over the last 30 years or so. For looking at the links between certain foods and reducing the risk of cancer. And there have been some major findings over that time. Consistently, there are some risk factors that are modifiable, that are things that we can change to help reduce our risk. And those are our body weight, our diet, and physical activity. And so when I talk about body weight, studies have shown that people who are overweight or obese are at a much higher risk of cancer than those who are at a healthy weight. So it's really important to try to maintain a healthy body weight. And a healthy body weight is a BMI of between 18.5 and 25. And then talking about the diet, people who eat an overall healthy dietary pattern, that is that they have, they're eating things like fruits and vegetables, they eat less processed meat, they're eating more whole grains instead of refined grains, and they are limiting their added sugars, as well as people who consume moderate amounts of alcohol have less of a risk. And when we talk about moderate amounts of alcohol, that is 2 drinks per day for men and 1 drink per day for women. And the reason why this overall healthy dietary pattern is so important is that it provides all the nutrients that our body needs in order to support a healthy immune system that protects us from cancer, provides all the nutrients that are going to make sure all of our organ systems are working well. And then as far as physical activity goes, those who are sedentary, who don't do a lot of physical activity, are at a higher risk of cancer as well. And so the recommendation for physical activity to help reduce the risk of cancer is for people to exercise a total of 150 minutes per week. And so that's about 30 minutes per day for 5 days in the week.
Which is very reasonable. And the OSU Extension Office, we have to say, has some great plans. They have programs for movement. There's the Strong Women, and then the Walk with Ease program as well. And then Northwest Senior and Disability Services we have the Tai Chi at the Y. So there's lots of options out there for people, or just going for a walk for 15 minutes. Maybe start out, slow and work your way into something.
Absolutely. And there's a variety of things that people can do. I think a lot of times people think of just, running or bicycling or participating in organized sports as being physical activity.
Right.
But things like gardening, walking, these are really great ways to get active that will meet this recommendation.
So would it be fair? What is it that they say, just thinking about exercise actually starts to improve your health? So for those of you who aren't exercising, start there. Absolutely. And then every day add 2 minutes of something, and then eventually you'll be up to that 30 minutes. It's very exciting. So, and tell us about, you're talking about this healthy eating lifestyle and good nutrition as reducing the risk of cancer. So, what's the MyPlate thing? You know, I've heard all about this. I know a little bit, just enough to make myself dangerous, but I would love to hear what you have to say about it.
Oh, sure. So MyPlate is the general recommendations that are put out there by the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and this is based on scientific evidence of what we know about a healthy diet. And so MyPlate is the way that that's communicated. The really exciting thing is that they released the MyPlate about 5 years ago, and it's a great visual for understanding what kinds of foods we should be eating. So if you look at the MyPlate, what it has is it shows that fruits and vegetables should be half of the plate, that there should be protein, that there should be whole grains in your diet, and the recommendation is for making half of your grains whole grains. And then also that you should be consuming dairy as part of your healthy eating pattern. And that's shown on the MyPlate as a little cup.
Neat. I think one of the things, you know, I'm looking at, Jessica recently put together a reducing cancer risk with good nutrition kind of cheat sheet that we have on the Year of Health and Wellness website, I believe. But it doesn't say a lot about dairy on there. So what are your thoughts about dairy and how that plays into a healthy and nutritious diet?
So dairy is an important part of a healthy diet. There have been many studies looking at how dairy affects our health, and it has lots of great nutrients like calcium, magnesium, potassium that supports overall good health.
And a protein source too.
Great protein source, absolutely. And with thinking about cancer being our topic for today, there have been many studies looking at whether dairy was related to cancer. And there's no evidence to suggest that that it causes cancer. In fact, more studies have shown that it has protective effects against
Eat
cancer.
your cheese, people.
So it's really important to note that it's not going to be the magic bullet, just increasing dairy, but it is really important as a part of a healthy dietary pattern to include that.
And what's the difference for these healthy a diet between adults and kids? Because as far as prevention and health and a healthy diet, that looks a little bit different if you're a youngster, right?
Yeah, it does. So overall, the recommendations are the same for adults and children as far as MyPlate goes.
Oh, okay.
The keeping half of your plate fruits and vegetables, getting whole grains, consuming dairy, and making sure to eat lean proteins. But there are some differences in the amounts of foods that we should be eating. And that's based on different stages of our lives. So children don't need to eat as much food as adults do. And then also seniors have some different requirements. They need a little bit more calcium. And so if you visit choosemyplate.gov, it has specific recommendations for each of those life stages.
What are some good foods that, when you're talking about calcium, some calcium-rich foods that are healthy? Not to get away from our cancer talk, but, you know, I'm just curious because that seems to be so important in prevention.
Yeah, dairy is a really good source of calcium. It's something that has a lot of calcium. There are a few other foods like kale and broccoli that also do have some calcium as well. You can also find fortified foods like soy milks that have some calcium in it. But when it comes to getting a lot of calcium, dairy really is the go-to there because it's easily absorbed from dairy. Our bodies have a little bit harder time with getting the calcium out of broccoli and kale.
Right.
But they are great sources as well.
And you can buy them you're consuming them in their true form, which I think for all these foods that you're talking about, the more you can have the whole food, it sounds like the better.
Absolutely.
Well, let's take another break really quick. Preventing heart disease can be done at the dinner table this summer. Tillamook Regional Medical Center recommends eating a minimum of 5 servings of fresh fruits and vegetables each day. They're rich in essential vitamins, nutrients, and fiber that keep our bodies healthy by lowering blood pressure, fighting inflammation, and keeping our arteries clean. A nutritious diet can also prevent weight gain and diabetes, which are linked to heart disease. Summer fruits, berries, and vegetables from local growers will be at our farmers markets, making it easy to shop for healthy foods like blueberries, strawberries, and leafy greens, including spinach, kale, and chard. They're good sources of vitamin A, C, and K, and taking care of your heart is a year-round job that starts with nutritious eating. Exercising regularly, reducing stress, and getting high-quality sleep each night will also prevent heart disease. For more healthy tips, visit northwestregionalheart.com. Look at all those, local things that we can buy at the farmers markets. Have you guys been this year? I love it. You can buy so many great things, and they have them Nesquin, PC, Tillamook, and up in Manzanita on Friday night. So lots of good access to all these healthy foods we're talking about. So again, this is Stacie, and I'm here with Jessica and Shera, who are experts locally, that we have these wonderful resources to talk about all the great things that we're providing to help people become self-educated about cancer and awareness and prevention. And so one of the things, Shera, that we didn't talk about was what services Adventist has for people who currently are undergoing treatment. So we were talking about the partnership between Tillamook Hospital and Tuolity out in, is it Forest Grove or Hillsborough? The Tuolity's Hillsborough. But there's also a lot of good support for people, for the emotional support and going through the process. Is that correct?
Right. We have a couple of different support groups here in the community. I facilitate the Women's Cancer Support Group, which is mostly breast cancer survivors. Mm-hmm. And then Leilani Hurleman is our nurse navigator and care coordinator, and she helps out a lot because when people first get diagnosed with cancer, it's just kind of mind-numbingly scary.
Of course.
And they don't know where to go next. And she's really great with helping them through that process and just helping them not feel so overwhelmed and get through the next step. And if there's things that they need help with, she's even taken a patient over to Portland for an appointment before who couldn't get a ride any other way.
That's amazing.
So, she just really has a heart for helping our patients. And then she's also started a support group for family members of people with new cancer diagnoses. Mm-hmm. And that meets on the last Thursday of each month from 10:30 to noon. Okay. And the Women's Cancer Support Group meets the first Wednesday of each month from 10:30 to noon. And those are both at the Tillamook Medical Plaza.
And if you need more information about the support groups or any information related to our topic, you can just call the general number at the hospital and they can direct you. Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
And I also love, what I've heard about. It sounds like, especially in these cases that you're talking about, you guys really are doing the right thing. You're doing the referrals. If there's something specific that we can't serve here locally, the referrals are happening and so that person, it's kind of a holistic approach.
Right. Yeah, our aim isn't just to keep business in the community. It's to do what's best for our patients. Yeah. And Dr. Gibbs, being that he's been in oncology for so long and lived in Portland area and worked here, he has a lot of great connections, and he's really good about using those for the best interest of the patients. Mm-hmm.
So, we have a couple more minutes. What are some other thoughts in regards to prevention and research that's in our community that's supportive of those people that are going through the cancer process?
Well, one thing I thought was really neat earlier this year is I got the chance to speak for a high school biology class when they were studying cancer. And it was really fun to share with them, some of the modifiable risk factors like Jessica was talking about earlier, because if we can help our kids to start young with healthy habits, then there will be less likely that they'll have to deal with cancer later on in life.
And were the kids engaged? How did they feel about having to talk about something like this, a chronic condition?
I think their teacher had done a great job prepping them and having them study, and so they had a lot of great questions, and it was just really neat to get to be there and interact with them. And
that's fantastic. So you have your presentations at the high school, the women's support group, and Jessica, you're doing the YOW, the Year of Health and Wellness things, and you're also going to be engaging in some different ways because you have a background in kids' health, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I've spent some time working in schools, building programs to help support, good, healthy habits and help teach kids about how they can make healthy choices in their daily lives. Mm-hmm.
And what are some tips in regards to that? I'd be curious.
The most important tip is to look for reliable information. There's, as we were talking about earlier in this segment about Google, that there's a lot of information out there, and sometimes it's not the most factual.
Right.
So making sure to look for the information that you know is based on fact, like using nutrition labels. So you can take a look at foods and look at that label and be able to make decisions about the foods that you're going to be eating. You know, if you want to increase that calcium, it's listed right there on the label. Or if you want to reduce the amount of added sugars you're consuming, there's actually going to be a reboot in the nutrition facts label that's going to show now that where added sugars are, so that can help make decisions.
Oh, okay. So, you know, and in regards to that nutrition piece, you know, one of the things that was on your recently published Reducing Cancer Risk with Nutrition paper was about more whole grains. So I think that there's some tricks that we can use when we're looking for grains and what we should be consuming, right? Like whole wheat versus non-enriched foods, right?
Yeah, so a great place to look for that is the ingredients list. You can see from there what the ingredients are, but the other place to look is under fibers on the nutrition facts label. And a good rule of thumb is you want to pick items that are that have more than 2 or 3 grams of fiber per serving, and those will be great for supporting, you know, eating whole grains. And when we're talking about whole grains, we're talking about things like brown rice instead of white rice. We're talking about whole wheat products that actually say whole grains on it, and things like oats. Oatmeal is a great source of whole grains.
And labels can get a little tricky too because of great marketing, right?
Yeah, but you know, there's actually some really strict rules for product packaging. So the claims that they make on the packaging does have to align with those rules. But another great place to get information is actually at choosemyplate.gov, where it can provide you with all kinds of great information on how to choose healthy foods.
That's fantastic.
What you need
so
to
carbs aren't bad after all, is what I'm hearing. You just have to pick the right ones.
That's right. Yes.
So I have a few announcements today, though. I'm looking for my little page here. Okay, so today's sponsors were Tillamook Ford and Tillamook Regional Medical Center. And we've got a couple birthdays coming up, Holly Obrist and Barbie Bardwell. Happy birthday this weekend. Monday, the OSU Extension Office is here, so we get we're double trouble. We've got it today and this Monday. Senior meals are at 11:30 a.m. at St. Mary's by the Sea in Rockaway Beach every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Senior meals are also at noon every weekday at the Kiwanda Community Center in Pacific City, and the cost is $3 for seniors and $6.75 for other guests. This is the last weekend to see Tapa's hilarious adult comedy, Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike. Get your tickets at Diamond Art Jewelers between for Friday and Saturday at 7, Sunday at 2, or more information at tillamooktheater.com. I hear that's a hilarious play. I'm very excited to see it. And Sunday, stay at the fairgrounds. Oh, very important. We're talking about this all this prevention and education related to cancer. And this weekend is the Relay for Life from 10 a.m. Saturday to 10 a.m. Sunday at the fairgrounds. Entertainment, games, auctions, and a lot more. Even if you don't have a team, if you've forgotten about it or didn't have it on your calendar, you know, it's still great to go out there. It's a very powerful thing and it's wonderful for supporting our community. And Sunday at the fairgrounds after the relay, you can watch the Tillamook County Riding Club's Play Day at the South Arena starting at 10 a.m. Spectators are free to come down and cheer on your favorite barrel racer. That should be fun. And then, like we talked about with all these fresh fruits and vegetables from the farmers markets, the markets are tonight in Manzanita from 5 to 8, Saturday in Tillamook from 9 to 2, and it's Kids Day this weekend. A Cause for Pause will be at the community table, and Fred Bassett and Sonia Kazin will be playing live, so that'll be fantastic. Saturday in Nescoin, the farmers market will be from 9 to 1, and Sunday in Pacific City from 10 to 2, and Matt W will be playing some country sounds. So lots of fun and exciting things happening this weekend. And so just to kind of loop around, I think what's the take home that we want to know for today's topic in regards to health and wellness and cancer prevention?
I would say really it's to remember that your health is in your hands. You're the one who knows your body the best, and you are the one that can do the healthy habits that can help you to maintain good health. Things like staying away from all forms of tobacco, getting to and staying at a healthy weight. Like Jessica was talking about, that what you put in your body as far as food really, really does make a difference. And limiting your alcohol intake and protecting your skin, and just knowing your body and getting proper screenings at proper times.
Well, Shera and Jessica, thank you so much for being here today. I think this is really important information. I hope that everyone that was listening today is taking a moment to think about their bodies and being healthy and using these great resources that we have in Tillamook County through the Year of Health and Wellness. So again, this is Stacie signing off. Have a great day and be well, Tillamook.